Hello learners. In the previous video we talked about operations that can be performed on numbers. We also outlined the rules or order of operations on how to operate on these numbers. Today we are going to talk about ratio. We're going to learn to compare these numbers. We're going to compare the quantities. That is what ratio means. For example, let's see an example. If you have a basket, imagine these are oranges. There are 3 oranges in the basket, and there are 6 bananas. There are 6 bananas. Forgive my drawing, but these are bananas. And there are 6 bananas in the basket. So there are 3 oranges and 6 bananas in the basket. And you are asked to find the ratio. So you are asked to find the ratio of oranges to bananas. So the first thing that you do is you count the number of oranges, which are 3, is 2. You count the number of bananas, which are 6. So you can also reduce your ratio. You can reduce your ratio here, you divide by 3, and you divide by 3 here. 1 is to 2. That's the final ratio. That's the final ratio. So let's do an example to clarify. Let's do an example to clarify. The sum of money is divided in the ratio 2:3. So the ratio here is 2:3. That is the ratio. So from the ratio, you can deduce something. Given that the largest share is $90, so 3 is the largest share since it's bigger than 2. So the largest share here is $90. And 2 represents the smallest share. 2 represents the smallest share. Calculate the smallest share. So the first step that you're going to take is you're going to find the total ratio. Total ratio. You're going to add 2 plus 3. You're going to get 5. The total ratio represents the total money shared. It represents the total amount of money that was shared. So the next step that we are going to do after we find the total ratio, we are going to say it's 3 represents $90. How much does 5 represent? How much does 5 represent? So we're going to say 5 over 3 multiplied by $90. So 3 into 3, 1. 3 into 9, 3, and a 0. So we're going to have 30 multiplied by 5, which is 0. So we are going to have 150. So the total money that was shared, is $150. That's the total money that was shared. So calculate the smallest share. So if the largest share was 90, and this is the total amount of money, we can simply perform a subtraction operation, which is 150 minus 90, which gives us 60. That is the smallest share. So ratios are important in numericals. They help us perform these operations. So in the next video,